Hey YouTube, Jason Tome here. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the JX3 Hybrid Tree Saddle. So if that sounds like something you'll be interested in, then stay tuned and we'll jump right in. First, let's start with looking at the JX3 here. It's got a little hook on it right here where it's rubberized, so it's quiet. If you take that off, it opens the JX3 up. So this is like the inside of it, because it acts like a backpack. And so you have some straps over here on this side, straps over here on this side, which will be at your hips. I also have some loops for my tree sticks, or for my climbing sticks here, that I can hang them on while I'm climbing, so I don't have to keep going up and down the tree. So first thing I do is I just stick these in here. And a lot of times I'll just leave these carabiners attached where they go at the hips here. So you can see it's marked with yellow, so you know where to attach them on both sides here. And then I'll take this remaining bridge strap and I'll throw it in here, and I'll take some of this loose stuff over here in this carabiner and I'll throw it in here. And sometimes I even just clip this to keep it from moving around too much. And then I will close it up. So these are your leg straps, but they also keep the saddle strapped down so it doesn't open up, and it just keeps everything in there so it doesn't fall out. Just like that, but you'll notice they're kind of loose, and that's because I actually use these to strap my sticks down with. And there's this little adjustment knob here, and that just brings this out like that, and this will go against the tree, but we'll talk about that later. But a lot of times I'll put that adjustment knob in between the crease of my sticks like that, just kind of keep it in place from going side to side too much. And then I'll grab my buckles and I'll go diagonal, just like that. The same thing on this other side. There we go. Those things are solid right now. So then I have this bungee cord. You can connect the bungee cord to a bunch of different places, but there's some loops here, and so I'll go around that, go around the tops of the sticks just like that, and then come around this side, and there's another loop. I'll just throw it in that loop, and then if I pick it up, these sticks are just absolutely solid. There's no movement at all. For just carryability, that's super nice. So if I flip this over, you can see it's a backpack. So it's got this nice fabric here that's got some give to it, so it's really comfortable against your back when you're carrying it in. And then it also has chest straps that you can clip just like that, and then it has waist clips. So with both of these, you can cinch these up tight, and there's no wobble when you're walking through the woods. that's pretty much everything for how I get the JX3 situated. Alright, so the next thing I'll talk about is the clothing I wear when I'm using the JX3 or when I'm saddle hunting in general. So, coveralls. I always wear coveralls because it keeps my shirts from coming untucked. This is a scent lock coverall, and it just keeps scent as minimal as possible, which I like, but the most important part for me is that it's just a coverall. And then I'll throw, and this has a decent amount of pockets in it, which is another reason why I like it. And then this is another scent lock piece of clothing, just a jacket for keeping myself a little bit more warm. And it also has a lot of pockets. I like having a lot of pockets when I'm saddle hunting, just to keep all my gear in, so I don't need to bring a backpack if I don't need to. When it gets a little colder, I wear a little heavier duty coverall. This isn't a scent lock, but it's just a big quilted coverall. Redhead 3XL, super warm, water resistant. But today I'm just gonna throw these lighter ones on because it's not too warm, too cold out. Alright you guys, so I guess before I start climbing up in the tree, I'll just give you a quick overview of the JX3 while it's set up here in the tree. Just like that. So basically, it has a really nice seat, mesh seat. It has some give to it. So it's comfortable for sitting for a long period of time. It's also got this tree fork here. And what you do is you can untwist that. Once you get it loosened up, you can pull it out to the distance that you want. Then you can tighten it back up. And then that'll go against the tree there. And it'll just help level you out a little bit. And it's really helpful for if you're maneuvering around the tree. It digs in there a little bit, so you're not slipping when you're working your way around the tree, and you don't have to put your knees up against the tree, which is also really nice. Personally, I'm usually running this all the way down as low profile as I can get it. It does depend on the tree, but I just like being as close to the tree as possible, just like that. But more often than not, I'm actually just taking this thing right out. And I'll just throw these in a pocket or something, so that way I don't have to keep it in unless I need it for a particular tree. And then what that does is it leaves this flat metal bar here, and I really like that. It's definitely more slippery, so you have to keep that in mind. But when you're on a fairly straight tree, you can maneuver with this just fine, and the corners of it also kind of dig in when you're at more of a steep angle like that. So it works quite well, and it keeps you really close to the tree, which is something I like. So that's how I use that anyway. The next thing I should show you guys before I start climbing is the shoulder straps here. So once you get up in the tree, you don't want those over your shoulders because it's going to limit your maneuverability. So when you get up there, and you're all strapped in and ready to go, you can take them and put them right over the top like that, and they're right out of the way. Do that with this one as well. What your back is up against when you're sitting in the JX3 is more mesh, and it's got some good give to it, so it separates you quite a bit from this hard plastic here, which is really good for when you're up in the tree for long periods of time. You can also use the JX3 as a seat. I personally don't use it as a seat just because it's not my style. If I ever found myself in a pinch and the place that I was hunting, I just really needed to be seated, it would be handy to have that. But so you can kind of tell if you look underneath it, there's these little rubberized metal pieces here. There's one here, and one over there. And so those just go right on the ground, and they act kind of as short little legs to kind of keep you up off the ground. So that way this fabric can have a little bit of give to it, so you'll still be comfortable when you're on the ground. Another thing to mention, the backrest is made out of this really high strength plastic. It's got some nice quiet fabric that covers it in most places, so that way it's not banging around and making any noise. And you can see that there's more straps here, and that's to be able to pack game out on. So you can actually take the bottom here and flip it back up and around and use it as a pack frame. You can use these straps to really keep it stable. I don't do any packing out, so I haven't tried that, so this review isn't going to cover that. It's also not going to cover how to use the JX3 from the ground, because I don't really use it from the ground. But if that's something that would interest you, then it's at least worth mentioning. It's got quite a few buckles and plastic and metal pieces, so that's something to keep in mind. And with just a little bit of work, you can get that thing dialed in just as quiet as you want it to, with some duct tape or whatever you want to use. Pretty much all the saddles I've used have made some noise with buckles and carabiners and everything, so it's nothing like really new in that regard, but it does have a bit more of buckles and everything like that, so it's worth mentioning. That's just a quick overview, and we'll start climbing up in the tree now. So the first thing I do when I get to the tree is I unclip everything, and I take the JX3 off. Once it's off, I'll take the leg straps off that are holding the sticks on. Just throw those off. Take the bungee cord off. Wrap that up, throw it in my pocket. And then the sticks are free. And I'll unravel these, take them all off. And the first thing I do is I set up my first stick. Just like that. And then I'll open the JX3 up, and I'll get everything out from inside of it. So I'll take this carabiner off, which attaches this side, everything on this side of the JX3. And this is the bridge strap here, and I'll throw that off to the side, and that'll bring everything else out that's on the side of the saddle. And then I have my Linesman's belt and tree strap in here, and normally I have these permanently, at least the Linesman's belt, permanently attached to the GX3, but just for the purposes of this video, I wanted to just keep them detached so I can show you how to attach them and how I use them. So I'm just going to set these over here for now. And then now everything is out from the inside of the JX3. So I'll close it back up. Make sure that's tight. Throw it back over my back. And now that the straps aren't being used for the climbing sticks, they can be used as leg straps for climbing and safety. So I'll attach these. Do the same thing on the other side. Then I will attach my waist strap. Now we can look at these ropes here. So this is the bridge strap, or the tree strap I mean. You can tell that because it's got this little spherical slider that holds the prusik knot in place. But what I really like about these two straps is that they're the same exact thing, and so you can actually use your tree strap really easily as your linesman's belt, or as a second linesman's belt. So I'll just hang that there for now. So this is the linesman's belt. Basically there's a little loop here with some greenish yellow webbing. That's where you want to put your linesman's belt. So one end of the linesman's belt is a loop. Pull it through, and you take the carabiner, put the carabiner through the loop, just like that. That's all you have to do, and just pull it tight. And that one's done, and then you can do the same thing. If you know you have to climb a tree with limbs, then you're going to have to use the tree strap as a linesman's belt as well. This one actually doesn't have any limbs, so I won't need to do that. But just for the sake of the video, I will. I'll put them in the same hole. I could put them over here on this loop, but I like to have them, the linesman's belt and the tree strap, facing the same direction, like having the knots both on one side and the carabiners both on the other side. So I just put that through the loop, same as the other one. Tighten it up, just like that. So now I have two linesman's belts ready to go, and I'll take them, throw them over my neck, and I'll take my tree strap, clip it in to the opposite side. And then the next step is I take the my Lone Wolf sticks, and I take the Versa button and I put it on the a loop that I've made out of paracord. See if you guys can see that. That'll just dangle there. And I've got the same thing on this side. Do the same thing. And I do this with all of my tree saddles, as I have these loops, so I don't have to keep coming up and down the tree to get more pieces of ladder. And so now I can take my linesman's belt, throw it around the tree, put myself in. I'm ready to climb. And if you guys want more information on how to climb with tree saddles, then I'll leave a link in the description below, and I'll throw a card on the screen right here if that's something you'll be interested in, because I'm kind of going fast right now. The great thing about the JX3 is you really don't need anything else besides like a small platform like this, because there's not much pressure on your knees. There's no pressure on your knees and barely any pressure on your feet, because you're basically like sitting in a lawn chair. So you only really need it to maneuver. So on a small tree like this is probably good enough, because you can use your heel to swing around a little bit just by using this top step. But I always like to have a little bit extra, just because I like to make sure I have the full maneuverability. So I'll take a screw and spike a lot of times, that's what I'll use, and just try to match that up so it's even. So now I've got my platform set up. Climb up to the top. So now I'm at the height that I'm going to be hunting. So I'll take that tree strap we were talking about that's being used as a linesman's belt right now, and I'll detach that. So now it's completely loose. and I'll throw that around the tree. Usually I try to get it up pretty high on the JX3 just because the more 90 degrees you are, the more work the JX3 does for you for comfort. I've got that tree strap up there, and like I was telling you before, there's this little circle sliding thing. Push that right up against the little knot right there, and that keeps it from slipping. And then you want to flip down the seat of the JX3. So I reach behind me and I pick up on it, and it falls right down like a seat. And then once you have the seat down, then you can take your bridge strap here that's off to your left, and you can see there's two things of yellowish neon yellow green carabiner off to your right hand side. Feed that through the yellow loop, tighten that up, and then you can attach your tree strap to this neon part here, and you're pretty much just good to sit down just like that. You're gonna need to loosen your linesman's belt up a little bit. And so right now I'm kind of at an angle, so I'm slipping off the seat forwards towards the tree. So what I would do is just grab my tree strap, I pull down on it, take some weight off of it. That'll get me closer to that 90 degrees. Just keep doing that until you're where you want to be. So now I'm pretty comfortable here. I'm at about 90 degrees. And so I can take my linesman's belt off now because I'm fully strapped in. And I'll just tuck this linesman's belt. I'll keep it attached, but I'll either stuff it in to the side here, or I'll usually just throw it in a pocket or something, just like that. You can adjust this fork here out to how far you want it. As far as the fork goes, just kind of mess with it, see what you like the best. I know for different trees, I like to use it differently. The one thing that I will mention about the fork here though is you have to be careful so it doesn't go into the back of your leg, especially if it's out further. Like in the heat of the moment, you could cut yourself with that. So you just have to be careful. This thing, because it sticks above the surface here. So like, if you're trying to maneuver around the tree, that knob can kind of drive in the back of your leg. It's definitely worth having, but it's definitely something you have to take into consideration. Next thing is that I really love is the adjustable backrest. So there's straps on the side right here that are really easy to adjust. You just pull up, that loosens it. Same thing on the other side. And you can get really far back as you want to go. It's super comfortable. Then if you want to tighten it back, you just grab this lip here, pull. You can get it just perfect. And if you start to get tired one way, just adjust it a little bit and you can reposition yourself and get comfortable again. Alright, so my absolute favorite thing about this saddle is how comfortable it is. And it's the reason why I bought it in the first place, was just because I was getting really tired of those conventional saddles pinching my hips, and I was twisting and turning and just fidgeting around like crazy, and just wasn't really enjoying myself as much when I was in those saddles. And I was like always kind of wanting to go home early because the pinching at the hips was just so bad, and just the cutting off of blood flow. So I wanted to look for something a little different, something that would be more comfortable, and I came across the JX3, and I'm glad I did. There's no pinching at the hips, Your knees don't get sore because they're not up against the tree. Your feet don't get sore from putting a lot of pressure on the platform because most of your weight's being held up by the JX3 at like a 90-degree angle. Just a really comfortable saddle. And I'm not affiliated with JX3 in any way. This review is just purely based on my experience with the JX3 this last hunting season. It is heavier than a conventional saddle, obviously, and it's got a few more parts, so it's a little bit heavier and a little bit noisier, at least right out of the box. But if you just take some time to silence it up, it's well worth the extra weight to bring into the woods. I would rather lug this thing miles into the woods than a conventional saddle if I can be comfortable and sit there for a long time. For most of the hunting that I do, I'm planning to be on stand for at least 3 hours, and a lot of times it's going to be all day, especially if I'm hunting in the big woods, especially during the rut. I would much rather pack in the JX3, even if it's a couple miles in, if I can sit there all day and be comfortable doing it. I mean, when I do my all-day hunts, I don't have a problem with dozing off, especially if I feel like I can wake up if the leaves are pretty noisy and I can hear something coming. In the other saddles, I couldn't really do that. I would get a little bit of rest in here and there, but I would just wake up and I'd be in pain and I'd have to move around. But like anything, it's just a tool. So it's a tool that I'm probably going to use like 95% or more of the time, just because I like it that much. That being said, there might be some times where you want to use a different saddle, like a more conventional, lighter weight fabric saddle. Like for example, if you're getting out of work and you don't have much time to hunt, and you're trying to get back into a spot, maybe you just want to get a lightweight option to get out there, throw it up in the tree, and sit there for an hour. And in an hour's time, you're not going to really be able to get all that uncomfortable. It probably doesn't make sense to take the JX3 in that situation. So like I said, the JX3 is a tool, and I'm not trying to sell you guys on it. Just use whatever equipment matches your circumstance. I really like the saddle, so I thought I'd make a video on it. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you found this JX3 review helpful. There's definitely more ways to use it. It's very customizable. There's a lot of attachment points. You can use different sticks and put the sticks in different spots. There's a lot of webbing, so you can really do a lot and really customize it to exactly what you want to do with it. But this is just how I personally use the JX3. So anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I'll catch you on the next one.